Advanced Java Programming. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the reading initialization parameters. So, by using the init method, we are reading the parameters. So, here we are using the servlet config interface. To read the initialization parameters, we are using the servlet config interface. So, what is meant by a servlet config? Here, the servlet config is the interface in the javax.servlet package. So, it is an interface which is present in the javax.servlet.star package. The purpose of the servlet config is it is used to pass some initial parameter values to the servlet program. And what is the use of the servlet config? The servlet config is used to pass the information of the initialized parameter values and technical information values to the servlet program. And an object of the servlet config will be created one per servlet. For every servlet, we are creating only one single servlet config object. And this object can be created by the server at the time of the executing. At the time of the executing, we are creating the servlet config object. Next, so how we are creating the object? By using the public void init method. By using the init method. What is the init method? The init method, it is one of the methods in the life cycle of the servlet. So, public void in the init method, we are calling the servlet config interface and we are creating one object for the servlet config interface. Next, to achieve this servlet config interfaces and initialization method and reading the initialized parameters, we have to follow some steps. So, what is the first step? So, in the first step, we are deploying the descriptor. What is the deployment descriptor? So, we are creating one web.xml file. So, in that web.xml file, we are adding the information to the servlet program. So, what are the information behind in the servlet program? We are adding those information into the web.xml files. Okay, so we are adding the information of the servlets to the deployment descriptor, and the deployment descriptor of the servlet will need to create the parameters of the database, URL and username, password, any type. Okay, we are creating the parameters of the URL parameters, database parameters, username parameters, okay, username, password. So, these parameters can be created by using the deployment descriptor, and this is done by using the init param. So, we are creating one user defined tag. So, what is the user defined tag? We are creating the init param as the user defined tag. By using the unit parameter, we are giving the what is the parameter value, what is the parameter name. Okay, so in the init parameter, we are creating the parameter name and the parameter values in the web.xml files. Okay, when the servlet container receives the first request of this servlet, okay, we are receiving the servlet container is receiving the first request of the servlet program. It will read the deployment descriptor file and create the servlet configuration object. So, after creating the deployment descriptor, we are creating the object for the servlet config. Next one, what is the third step? The servlet configuration object will be passed as a parameter to the init method. So, we are calling the object of the servlet configuration. The servlet config object can be called or passed into the init method of the servlet program. Alternatively, the init method can use the get servlet configuration. That means we are getting the parameters in the servlet config by using the servlet config method to retrieve the servlet configuration object. Next one. So, what is the fourth step? Let's see the fourth step. The init method calls the get initialization parameters to gather to get the servlet configuration objects to get the database URL, username and password parameters by using the get initialization parameter. Get init parameter. By using the get init parameter method, we are creating the servlet configuration object and we are getting the database, URL, username and password. Those parameters we are taking by using the servlet configuration object. Next, fifth one, the init method of the servlet uses the parameters to establish the connection between the database. So by using the init method, we are establishing a connection to the database to the servlet program. So by using the initialization parameters, by using the reading initialization parameter, we are establishing one connection to the database to the servlet program. Let's see one example program. So to create the project, we have to click on the NetBeans. After the NetBeans, we have to click on the file. In that file, we are clicking on the new project. So in the new project, we are selecting the what is the category? That is the Java Web category. In that, we are selecting one Java Web Application project. Next, after clicking on the next, we have to give the what is the project name. Here I am giving the initialization. Here I am giving the initialization is the project name. Okay. So after that, click on the next button. And here the server and the Java W versions and the content path are already set. And click on the next. After that, click on the finish to the create a new project. Let's see. Here in the project, let's say we are having the initialization and some projects we are having. So what is our project? Let's click on our project. In the initialization one, we are having one web pages. In that web pages, we are having web-inf, and in the next one, we are click on the source packages. In the source packages, we are having the default packages. Let's click on the right click on the default packages. Here click on the new. So here we have to select the servlet program. So here, what is the servlet name? Here I am giving the initialization is the our file name. Initialization is the class name. This is the source name. Next, click on the next button. Here it is asking about the if you want to add the information in the deployment descriptor. Yes, I want to add the information in the web.xml file. Here in that the class name is fixed. What is the class name? Initialization. And here we are having the servlet name and the URL pattern. Okay. So the URL pattern and the server name are fixed as the initialization. I don't want to change those values. Next here it is asking about the initialization parameters. What is our project? That is initialization. So by using the initialization parameters, we are reading the initialization parameters by using the servlet config. Let's click on the new button. After the new button, here I want to give the some name and the values to the initialization parameters. So here I am giving the driver. So in this project, I want to display the what are the drivers that we have used in our database connectivity. So here I am using the what is the value? Sun dot jdbc dot odbc dot jdbc odbc driver. This is a driver name for our jdbc connectivity. Next, click on the finish button. After the finish button, let's see in the here I am removing the unused code. Okay. Okay, here it is the protected void process request. So I want to display the initialization parameters by using the doGet method. That's why here I am removing the process request method. Okay. So here we are having one plus button. What is the plus button consisting? The plus button having the HTTP. So what is the plus button? It is having the HTTP servlet method. So what are the servlet methods we are having HTTP? That is doGet method, doPost method, and the what is the servlet information. Let's click on the plus button. Here we are having the void doGet method and void doPost method and one string get servlet information. So it gives the what is the description about the servlet program. Let's see. In the doGet method, I am using one string variable to display the drivers. So here I am using string driver equals to. So we are getting the initialized parameters. So these initialized parameters that can be done by using the servlet config. So for the servlet config, I am creating one object for the servlet config. Servlet config. Okay. So what is the object? Here I am taking config. Config. To get the parameters, what I have to use? initialized parameters. Next, okay. So the config object will be used in the config dot get init parameters. Okay, so by using the config dot get init parameters, we are getting the parameters by using the servlet configuration. So here we are creating one object for the servlet config, and that object will be used to get the initialized parameters. Okay, here in the initialized parameters, so I am giving one name, that is the drivers. Okay, so what is the driver here? Here the driver, in the creation of a class name, we are adding the information to the deployment descriptor. In that we are adding one new initialized parameter. In that, what is the name of the initialized parameter? That is driver. Okay, the name, the initialized parameter name, that will be given in the driver, and click on the semicolon button. So here I want to display these driver as output. Next one, out dot println of out dot println. For simple core Java applications, we are using the system.out.println. But here in the servlets, we are using the out.println. So here in the out.println, what is the out here? The out, it is the variable. It is the object which is created in the the out is the object which is created in the response object, response interface object. So how to create the response interface object? By using the print writer. So by using the control button and the space bar, we are having the print writer. Okay, print writer out equals to response dot, we are having the get writer method. Okay, click on the get writer method. So this is the out. What is the out object? We are creating an object for the response. Okay. So I want to create one. What is the content type? What I want to set the type of the content. Here by using the response dot set content type. Okay. Response dot set content type. Okay. So here it defaultly gives the null variable. But here I want to display as the text or HTML formats. Okay. By using the text or by using the HTML, I want to display the whole output into the HTML format. Okay. Here after that I want to close the out dot close to close the our initialization parameters of the servlet program. Okay. Let's see the program. So here we are having one error message. What is the error message? So it is asking about the add import packages of the Java Servlet config. Let's click on that. Here we are having another. What is that? So here we are having the get init parameters. So it is the parameter. Okay. So there is no errors in the initialization parameters program. Okay, here the unused, we want to remove the unused packages, but no need for that. And after the servlet, so we are having one process request. Okay, so I want to remove the unnecessary of code. Here I am removing those. Okay, right. So let's save the program and let's see by clicking on the index.html. So I want to write something in the HTML page. So what I want to here write means by using the h1 tag. Here I am using one h1 tag. By using the h1 tag, click here to get the initialization parameters. Okay. So for that here I am giving the h1 tag. But here I want to display. Okay, here I want to give one hyperlink to get the servlet program, but here I want to give the A. By using the hyperlink, we have to give the A href that equals to A href that equals to in the quotations. What I have to give? So here in the ahref, I am giving the in the web.xml. What is the URL pattern? Here in the URL pattern, we are having the let's see the web.xml file in the web in the initialization. So what is the initialization? Here we are using the URL pattern as the initialization. So here in the web.xml, we are having one URL pattern, and this URL pattern will be given in the ahref. Let's copy paste the value and close the quotations, and next close the ahref tag. Okay, after that we are using the initialization parameters. Okay, after the initialization we have to close with the /a ending tag. Okay, let's save the program. If any errors in the index.html, no, there are no errors. Let's click on the web.xml. Here in the web.xml we are having the XML versions, and by back in the servlets we are inserting the servlet name, servlet class, init parameters. So here we are already inserted in the add information in the deployment descriptor. We are in that deployment descriptor we are writing one driver and one sun.jdbc.odbc.driver. Okay. Here we want to insert the what are the welcome files. So here we have to insert the what are the index.html files. What are the HTML files? They are included in the welcome file list. Next one. Here we are using the welcome file to include the index.html. After that we are closing the welcome -files as the ending tag. Next we want to close the welcome file list as the ending tag for the welcome file list. Let's save the program. So by clicking on the run button, we are running our project. Let's see what is the output. So what is the output here? Click here to get the initialization parameters. So by clicking on the hyperlinks, we get the details of the. After clicking on the initialization parameters hyperlink, we are getting the what is the driver is. The driver is sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc driver. So this is the output for the our reading initialization parameters. So this is the example for the reading initialization parameter. Thank you everyone. Thank you for listening to the class.